So today we're going to tell you about what we're going to be doing for the year. In the Buddha's teachings, he's got a lot of lists. So many lists that actually it's kind of hard to remember them all. It's better if we can bring the lists alive in our daily life. So this is what we're going to do this year, is we're going to bring the Paramis, the perfections, to life. Now, what are the perfections? Well, the Paramis are sometimes translated as virtues or wholesome and healthy qualities of character that the Buddha is said to have perfected on the way to becoming a Buddha. After the Buddha's death, some senior monks went back and reflected on the qualities of the Bodhisattva Siddhartha Gautama, what qualities he had as a person, and developed to the point of perfection in order to bring about Buddhahood. Now, it's good for us to remember that he was first and foremost a human being, just like you and me, just like you and me. But if you believe in multiple lifetimes, and some of you may also know of the Jataka tales, these are stories from the many lifetimes that the Buddha lived, and they're based on these qualities. The qualities that he developed, again, to the point of perfection, to the point that they were innate to his character. That is, he simply lived out of them. He no longer had to work to bring them forward. But for many lifetimes, he did have to work to bring them forward, just like you and me. And this is what we're going to encourage in all of you this year, is to bring these particular qualities forward. And though the number of perfections differs between Buddhist schools, ultimately the 10 that are listed in the Theravada school of Buddhism, that's what we practice in, are condensed into 6 in the Mahayana and the Vajrayana schools. Now, we're all familiar with these qualities. These are not esoteric. We already have these qualities to some extent. It's more a matter of deliberately bringing them forward, both on and off the cushion. The 10 paramis are generosity, virtue, renunciation or letting go, energy, patience, truthfulness, determination, loving kindness, equanimity, and wisdom. Right? We know these qualities. But what makes these qualities special, what makes these qualities transformational, is that we engage them mindfully. We engage them with compassion and skillful means or wisdom. We're not practicing them to reinforce our ego, right? So that we feel like we're a good person, but rather we're practicing them to train our hearts to not be fickle with goodwill. We train the heart mind, the chitta, to discern how best to relate given whatever the circumstances are. The paramis are an easy way for those of us in the modern world to bring practice forward in our daily life. They offer kind of a useful framework for developing the right attitude toward any activity or relationship. In fact, this is what I did in the first year of my 4-year retreat. I worked on the paramis. Each month, I focused on one theme, one parami, and I used it to steady my practice off the cushion, because that's usually where I and most of us would forget or get wobbly with our practice. Having a theme, and I might add many Post-it notes, I could remember to keep returning to the theme. It was a helpful anchor for connecting the practice through threading it through the rest of my day when I was off the cushion. These are intended to be practiced in our daily life. Now, the other thing that's really cool to me about the perfections is that they also provide a reliable way of measuring accomplishments. Outwardly, accomplishments are measured these days in terms of productivity, or more personally, and when somebody says, what have you done for me lately? That kind of attitude. Rarely do we measure up to our own or to somebody else's expectations. But perfections of character, well, they're much more dependable and they're much more enduring. We know in our hearts, we know in the heart of hearts, when we are generous, when we're honest, when we're kind, when we're compassionate, we know. Acts that wisely come from a heart that is unattached to preference, they don't leave the residue of regret or worry. That's the difference. That's why they're called perfections. They do not leave the residue of regret or worry when we've done something skillful. So the paramis are practical practices. We already have access to them. And these are intended to be developed in daily life. Just like us, the person who became known as the Buddha had to bring these qualities forward. One of the hardest aspects of practice is remembering to remember. So for me, when I was on my 4-year retreat, the nerd in me wrote the word down on Post-it notes or on postcards, and I'd place them strategically in different places so that I would bump into them and remember. I'd hang a Post-it note on the mirror, or opening a cupboard, and in the cupboard right there hanging from one of the shelves, it would have a word like generosity. When we were on retreat, I also had it tucked into my napkins, that when I unfolded my napkin for meals, the word was right there, the word of the month. And having that word on a card and placed in certain places helped my mind to kind of stay fresh with it, to not adapt to seeing the cards because they were placed in these random places. So what I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you, if it feels right, to play with writing the words down and placing them in strategic places where you will just encounter them, bump into the word and oh, right. Generosity, that's what I'm going to practice this month. That's what I'm going to practice today. Right? We're trying to wake up these qualities and bring them forward. So for the rest of this month, we're going to begin to focus on generosity, or dana in Pali. And for this morning, I'm going to encourage that we use generosity in our meditation practice. A generosity of spirit. How might we relate to whatever arises on the cushion with the spirit of generosity? Right? So we don't throw anything out, we don't push anything away, but we come at it from that very generous place, welcoming place. Okay? We can do this. We can do this. It's for our welfare, and it's for everyone else's welfare too. So let's play around with this morning. All right? We'll stop there, and I'm going to encourage these next few moments, if you will, to tune in to what it feels like in the physical form and create some space inside, open up some of the places that might feel stiff or tight. You might play with opening up the shoulders, giving them a little attention. Think about what we're doing. We're trying to open up and create some space so that breathing has as much room as it needs to breathe. That's how we'll learn how to stay steady on the cushion. And you might notice that there's certain things that I do before every sitting, and that's because my body gets tight in particular ways. And being responsive to that, I want to be very deliberate and open those places up before I settle into stillness. Otherwise, the body will be cranky. All right. And see if you might need any additional supports under the knees or perhaps under the arms so that the body can let go of the work. And perhaps taking a few deeper than usual inhalations and deeper than usual exhalations. And then let the breath go, let it find its own rhythm. And very deliberately panning out and sensing the whole of the body and whatever posture it's in, whether it's standing or sitting. And see if it feels comfortable as it settles down onto the ground. And softening around the face, shoulders, hands, belly, feet. And very deliberately tune into the rhythm of breathing. Let that rhythm be enjoyed, relaxed. And very deliberately tune into the attitude and see if you can feel into an attitude that feels friendly, kind, one that allows, however it is right now, to be as it is. And for the next little while, let's clarify our intention to keep coming back inside and breathing with and through whatever's arising. And we're very deliberately going to stay out of the thinking mind. Of course, the mind is going to want to provide some entertainment, but we're going to very deliberately each time let go of the thoughts, let go of thinking, and tether the breath to the body and the body to the ground and smooth everything out inside with a generosity of spirit.
Soften and allow. Once more, deliberately check, where's the mind? Now take a breath and come on back inside. Tether the breath to the body to the ground. Smooth out all the wrinkles and the ripples from the thoughts. Breathing with and in and through. Until it feels steady again. last few minutes of the meditation. Breathing and feeling the whole of the body in its posture right now. Allowing the body and the breath to be comfortable. Feeling the kindness of that. The ease of that. And very deliberately dropping in the context in which you're sitting right now, with all of us sitting here alone together, breathing in a body, breathing. All of us sitting here, training our hearts to be kind. Her. We're in good company. So let yourself breathe with that awareness that we're sitting here in good company. One moment, let me switch mics so we can all say goodbye to one another. 1 second. And let me unmute you all. I give you permission to unmute. Okay, everyone, we can unmute. Thank you so much for your practice. I got your message. I'm hoping it was better.
Susan.
But
You, Bill.
Thank you.
Everyone, be well.
Bye, Susan. Bye, Dave.